Hello, everyone. Welcome to my video. My name is Troy Small, and today I'm going to be talking to you about what is a contract. What is a government contract? A contract is how the United States government purchases products and services that are for the direct benefit of the use of that agency or that organization or that entity. So this includes purchasing, acquisition, leasing, renting of space, all of that, right? So for any federal government organization, state government, municipal government, local governments, they use quote unquote contracts to enter into these arrangements. And basically a contract it's a legal binding agreement that has basic clauses, terms, and conditions that both parties agree to. So the government agrees to these terms and conditions, and you or myself as the contractor or the vendor, we also agree to these terms and conditions. At the federal government level, contracts are governed by the Federal Acquisition Regulation. And the FAR is what it's known as. I think I've talked about that in one of my previous videos. This is kind of like the Bible for government contracting. So this is where all of the rule sets are kind of codified in the FAR. And so that's where if you want to get some information on how a particular situation needs to be handled in at least federal government contracting, then you check the FAR. Now, different states, every state does purchasing and contracting. They have their own rules and regulations as it relates to procurement and contracting and purchasing. And so you would need to read their rule sets. The thing is, though, is that even though they have their own rules about how to do contracting, most all of these rule sets are going to be similar in that, it's going to speak to how the process goes. And the process, generally speaking, is going to be the same across the board. There's just going to be some nuanced difference with different jurisdictions. And of course, a jurisdiction is like an authority. So you have federal jurisdiction. I'm in California, so the state of California has a jurisdiction. I live in Riverside County, so Riverside County is a jurisdiction in and of itself, which is different from, say, San Diego County or St. Louis County, as an example. There are two types of contracts, two type of contract award. So, right, we kind of talked about what a contract is, but contract awards can look like a variety of things. So before I get into what I was going to say, contracts could be purchase orders, they could be blanket purchase agreements, they could be what we would call GSA contracts or GSA schedules, right? So there's different terms for these instruments, but we call them contracts loosely. They're all called contracts, basically. But the point is that they are an agreement and they have terms, conditions, and clauses and things like that that stipulate what must happen during the contract term and even after the contract term in most cases. When awarded a contract, particularly at the federal level and state and local as well, there are two types of contract awards, right? You can win a single award contract where it's just a contract to a single party or a single entity. In some cases, there are multiple award contracts where there are a group of companies that receive the same contract for the same supplies or services. So a single award contract, once again, is awarded to a single vendor. This could be a contract, it could be a task order that's against a base contract, a single award base contract, and it would go to that one vendor who won that base contract. They would be the sole party performing that work, which is good for them, right? Because they get all of the work. So single award contracts are awesome in that regard. A multiple award contract is when you have a contract that is awarded to multiple vendors. Now, this happens when, say, you have an indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity contract, an IDIQ contract, right? And they say, the government says, we're going to make multiple awards for this work, whether it be task orders or delivery orders. Task orders are for services, delivery orders are for deliveries of supplies and product. So let's just say the government awards 7 contracts in this multiple award contract. That means they awarded 7 different companies a contract to do the work. Now, the resulting task orders is what's then going to be competed. Well, is the task orders are going to be competed, and they're going to be competed amongst those 7 multiple award contract holders, the 7 MAC holders, right? So every time the government needs something, they're going to submit a request for quote, as an example, or request for proposal to these 7 MAC holders. Each company, can submit a response back to try to win that task order. They're submitting back to try to win that task order. And if they win it. They won that one. And then the other 6 that did not win, oh, too bad, so sad, they now have to wait until another task order is issued. And now they try to be more competitive on that task order. But that's kind of how the multiple award contracts work. And prior to that, let's kind of break it down. What happens is the government issues a request for proposal, and they state in the solicitation that it's going to be a multiple award contract. They may say something like the government may award between 6 to 10 contracts for this work, meaning 6 to 10 vendors, 6 to 10 government contractors will win a contract to do the work. They run that competition. They figure out a way to ask for proposals. They probably insert a sample problem or some way that they can compare the offers. They get the proposals, the offers in, they evaluate them, and then they determine these 7 are going to win a contract. And so those 7 are now the MAC holders, and now only those 7 can compete for the resulting task orders for that requirement. So no other outside company can compete now, only those 7 for the duration of that contract, which is most likely, it's a 1-year contract, or maybe like a 3-year contract, or 5-year. So it could be a 1-year contract with 2 option years, or like a 1-year contract with 4 option years, as an example. The contract terms in a contract, in a government contract, that determines how your company is going to be paid. And what I mean by that is that you have fixed price contracts, and you have cost reimbursement contracts. So if you have a fixed price contract, you're going to be paid differently than cost reimbursement. A fixed price contract is kind of like the money is already situated, right? You already know what you're going to make each month. Like every month is going to be, $10,000 or something like that is what the government is going to have to pay. Whereas on a cost reimbursement contract, you don't know yet. So as an example, I have my company, I have a cost reimbursement contract with the County of Riverside. And the way that it works is I do work throughout the month. I just work, and I capture what I do in my notes. And then I submit my notes and my work report, basically the clients that I saw and how much time I spent with them. And then I consolidate all that, and it basically is a number of hours times a rate, and then this is what you paid, this is what you owe me. And then I submit that at the end of the month. So as an example, today's the 29th, and basically here in a day or two, I'm going to be submitting my invoice package for payment for work that I did in January. So the work I did this month, I'm going to submit the invoice here tomorrow, and then they'll have until the end of February to pay me for the work I did in January. So that's a 60-day cycle from when you start working and before you end up getting money in your pocket. So if you don't have the proper cash flow in your business, that could be a challenge. You want to learn more about like contract types and different topics in particular detail, you can check in FAR Part 16, Federal Acquisition Regulation Part 16, types of contracts, and it'll go through and cover much more in detail of what I highlighted here today. If you're interested in consulting support, like consultations rather, I'm available for video and phone consultations. I'm happy to help you with your business startup, business planning, strategy, business expansion, or any type of assistance with federal government contracting. I also provide coaching. I don't like calling it life coaching, but if you need help with being and getting disciplined, right, and just kind of getting yourself together so you can turn your life around, I can help you with that too. So I hope everyone has a great day, and I'll see you on the next video.